Hello and welcome to the Binge Thinker episode 22. My name is Jameel Raymond. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here today. On today's podcast, we're continuing this epic tale from Fia Betina, a tale of tragedy, hopefully some positivity in there. We've just been rattling off for the last hour, so it's going to be very hard to change gears, but hopefully, we spread some joy in amongst this turgid message that's about to come out. Is that right? Am I about right there, Fia?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. All right.
Oh, dear.
Well, how do we
Hi,
this?
hello.
Oh,
Hi,
yes,
hello.
Good
How
to
is
have you
everyone?
back.
Oh, it's just great to be here.
Oh, you'd hope so.
I love it.
Yeah. It's quite the place. What a vibe.
It's this chair.
It
These
does.
chairs are great.
I know. It's the best $40 I've ever spent.
I'm proud of you. As a furniture flipper, I'm really
Oh,
proud.
you are too. I forget
Yeah,
about
I
that.
do that. Yeah, big time.
What would you do to fix these up?
I would clean them
Yep.
and I would sand the wood down so it was raw again. And then,
Is this a lacquer? Is this not hardwood?
no, it's wood. This is wood.
Yeah, but is that lacquered on top?
Yeah, it's varnish.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just sand it down.
Okay.
And
Great.
then it depends on the vibe of what you want. So if you want to keep them green, or I would then sand this down and paint this also black.
Yep.
Put some leather, like replenisher on the leather at the back, and then I would upholster these, but in like a black and white patterned fabric.
Oh, that might work. But this is also a podcast, so no one gives a fuck.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh, there is a video aspect to this, so
I'll put the link to the YouTube.
This
and
is
you
the
can
YouTube.
watch it. Is it?
Yeah, this is also going on YouTube.
Oh, God, I'm an idiot.
Yeah. And that's the podcast, everyone. It's good to have you on.
So that was fun.
Yeah. Let's push on.
I feel like for context, they need to know that it's like a Saturday night. It's 9 p.m.
Yeah.
We're really tired. We've had a big week.
Yeah, it is the witching hour.
And we're just kind of like, we will make this happen.
Yes, we must make the content.
We must make the content.
Slaves to the content.
Slaves to the content. The little Russian boy being forced to... What?
This was your idea,
What was?
being forced into this time. Actually, we were supposed to start earlier in the day, and somebody had a tragedy to deal with.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. I can't even argue that.
Yeah.
And then I made an amazing pasta bake.
Great.
And took a really long shower. And I was halfway in there, like, just doing a hair mask. And I went, oh, wait, I really got to get going.
Yeah.
This was meant to be a quick shower.
Yeah, I'm 2 hours late.
Oh, I'm the worst. Anyway.
Okay, so from one tragedy to the other.
Yes.
Let's
Love a tragedy.
I know. Let's recount. So last week we were talking about your escape from this cult.
I was kind of left on a cliffhanger because I realised I rambled so much that I never actually got to the point of how I escaped.
Yeah. So we'll cover that off in part 2.
Yeah.
And then we did talk about a little bit about the ways that you have, used mental therapies and practices to help recover. I mean, we might recount that as well.
Yeah, sure.
But so to catch people up, you've been in this cult, Jehovah's Witness cult in the UK until you were 16.
Yeah, about 16, 17.
Yep.
Yeah.
Narcissistic mother.
Very
Sucked
much
the
so.
family into the cult.
Yeah.
She's still part of the cult?
No, but she never technically got disfellowshipped.
Right.
So certain people will still talk to her and she'll still talk to certain people because it's like she's very much in the like victim mindset right now. So it's kind of like if she ever sees anyone, they'll be like, oh, Lisa, you poor thing, all of your family left. How do you cope? Because she's not considered disfellowshipped or disassociated. She's just considered weak. She's weak in the truth is like one of their...
Weak in the truth?
Yeah.
That's actually a fucking good way to call people sometimes.
Yeah. Well, because they refer to the religion and the teachings as the truth because it's like the only thing that's right. Like, because all of the other religions are false religions.
Yeah.
So that's where that phrase comes from. So...
When did Jehovah's Witnesses actually start?
The very late 1800s, like 1895 something.
Fuck, so they witnessed fuck all, really.
Yeah.
Because
they're like, they used to be called the Bible students.
Right.
And then like 190 fucking whatever, they changed it to, no, it was later than that. Actually, it was like probably thinking like the 30s. They changed it to Jehovah's Witnesses because they took on his name, because Jehovah is the name of God in the Bible, because Yahweh is the literal translation of the Hebrew word, which is God, YWHW or something. So the English way of saying that is Jehovah.
Right.
And because in other religions, especially a lot of African religions, they use the word Jehovah as his name.
Jehovah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was literally, I remember researching it when I came out, almost like researching it in like a secular brain mindset, if that makes sense.
Traumatizing?
Yeah, it was horrific. Oh, this was literally only a few months ago when I found The Handmaid's Tale. So I'm like simultaneously watching The Handmaid's Tale while Googling Jehovah's Witness cult and on the Wikipedia page. And yeah, and I wondered why I didn't sleep for 4 days.
Yeah, fuck.
Talk about fucking...
Yeah, fuck. That trauma's coming from deep in the back of the brain, just up the spine, all that trauma.
Is that some form of self-harm?
Probably. Yeah.
No, I think about it and I say it out loud. But it was just a white dude that just made it up.
Yeah, I mean,
Brother Rutherford.
Yeah, so is Scientology, but I don't think it's as violent, Scientology. I mean, as conservative. It's just weird.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But I think, well, yeah, a lot of cults use, like cults and sects, SECT.
Yes, but a lot of sects,
yes.
A lot of cults use sex as a weapon. It's usually the motivator for these cult leaders. Sorry, go on.
No, 100%. No, I mean, that's what I was going to say, is they use the name and the word of God as a cover-up to basically just have power, control, and to abuse. And I think like as this, because there's only about 7 million of them.
That's it?
Yeah. Around the world. Yeah.
Man, I feel like they've knocked on a lot more doors than that.
Yeah. That's why like they encourage everyone to just get married, have babies so that their numbers are higher.
Yep.
7
million. Oh my God. I thought there were way more than that.
No, only 7 million.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That is like a minimal extremist group. For how much they're known in the Western world, at least as I can understand it. Fuck. Yeah. That's hectic.
So I remember when I was young, this still makes me laugh. Me and my dad laugh about it now. But I did like a little work experience for a few weeks in like a t-shirt printing shop when I must have been about 14 or 15. And at the end of it, I could get like a hoodie and a sweater and like all different things printed with like my own logo and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, to show the things that I've learned. And my dad was like, oh, you should get a t-shirt printed with the slogan, over 7 million witnesses can't be wrong. And now
that's pretty good.
We crack up about that because we find that really funny. But because now it's like, that's it. That's all that there is. And it's like, and they try so hard to not like come across or promote or say that they are a cult.
Yeah.
But that is how it works now. Like, because there's more, there'll be more members in some other obscure cult probably in frickin' America than they are in Jehovah's Witnesses. And Jehovah's Witnesses have been around for what, 120 years?
Yeah, like the evangelists or some other weird southern bullshit they have in the US.
There's a lot more Mormons than Amish, that's for sure.
How many Amish are there?
I want to find that out. Can I Google?
Yeah,
Am I allowed my phone on a podcast?
Yeah, that's fine. People Google shit all the time. But yeah, I mean, God, if you want to be a cult, you've got to be the Amish, right? At least if you're going to do your own weird shit, you do it in the corner. No electricity, you're raising barns as community. Sure, you got a mad beard. Like, that's the way you've got a cult. You know what I mean? If you're going back to classic, like they've just gone, we're going to go old school. So old school that we're going to shun electricity. You're like, all right, respect.
Pretty much, like, it wasn't like that. Like, we had electricity, but we are, like, you're very, very encouraged. See, this is the thing. This is what I find so funny with like their wording was just brilliant. And they were you're encouraged, and it's, you're never told, but you are. It's the most passive aggressive religion, cult, whatever I have ever come across. It's ridiculous.
Well, you've got to be. If you don't have answers, you're going to just be like, make your own.
Yeah,
mind
like we
about it.
recommend, and like it's encouraged. So like, like in a normal, like a Catholic church, or whatever, they pass the plate around, like Christianity and that not to the church, blah, 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 pass the plate around to put your little coins in there. So you're not, a plate doesn't get passed around at the Kingdom Hall.
Yeah.
There's a contribution box at the end,
right?
Like at the back, and you're just encouraged to donate whatever it is that you feel appropriate.
Yeah.
Because that goes back into the, back into the thing. Yeah. Easy. But you're also encouraged, like, not to be materialistic, not to have flashy things, to obviously, again, stay no part of the world. So, like, growing up, like, I didn't have a lot. Like, I lived in, like, a 2-bedroomed council house with my mom and my dad and my 2 brothers at that time. And me and my brothers shared a room, and, my mom and dad did. Like, this is very, very young. And like we had like a very little small old car that barely got us everywhere. And like I didn't have a lot. Like my clothes would be from, op shops or charity shops or hand-me-downs from other people in the congregation.
Yeah.
Like sometimes even my brothers. Like it wasn't luxury. Like,
no.
And it wasn't, and even now, like it was really funny. I remember talking to my dad, like even like just a few years back, it wasn't because we didn't have money. It was, it's almost like to show how, we're so sacrificing. We give everything to God, because we don't need all these beautiful things and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And like it was very, very, I mean, this wasn't encouraged. This was what had to happen. So like with women, we had to dress modestly. So we had to have a skirt or a dress below the knee. Our shoulders and cleavage couldn't be showing. So always like around here.
Yeah.
Higher the better, basically. No bold patterns or bold prints or bright colors. Very just blendable, bland, fit in, be invisible.
Yeah.
You're no part of the world. So not high heels, like makeup wasn't encouraged, dyeing your hair, getting piercings, obviously no piercings, no tattoos, nothing like that to enhance your body or to add to your body. So yeah, growing up, I didn't really have anything like at all. And for me, how I would get punished, I would get things. I got my bedroom door taken off the hinges because privacy was a privilege. And, I got my pillows and my doona taken off me because comfort is a privilege. Like there were like eating dinner or eating food or whatever. Like I wouldn't have a meal because that was a privilege. And if I had been bad, that was how I was reprimanded.
And how do they define what's bad? Do they have some fucked up ways of, defining what is bad in your life?
Just not being submissive.
Right.
In the most all-round way. I wasn't, and I would say this, and you know what, even if my family ever did listen to this, I wasn't a rebellious child. I wasn't a bad child. I was intelligent. I was inquisitive. I was friendly. I was creative. I was who I am now. The person that I am now is also who I was as a child, but that was not allowed. It was everyone around me did their best to just suppress the personality and the person that I was, to the point where my mum was taking me to specialists to basically try and get me diagnosed with different disorders. So she wanted to put me on Ritalin. She wanted to diagnose me as autistic so that I could go on other medications to basically just shut me up.
Is it like a Christian Science thing with is it like Jehovah's Witness doctors where they go to this, like special doctors that might give that sort of stuff? Or is it like just general doctors and they're just going, what the fuck are you doing? This is just a normal child.
Yes and no.
Right.
So if you know someone who is a doctor within the religion, you would be more.
Of course, you're going to go to them.
Yeah, you're going to go to
Any
them.
race does that.
Yeah, exactly.
Shouldn't say race, but yep.
Yeah. Well, no, you're not wrong. Yeah, it was. I mean, we had our normal GP that obviously was just a secular GP, shall we say, a part of the world doctor. But my mother's she's a narcissist. She's very, very good at convincing a lot of people. And it's been really fascinating because I was talking to, again, my dad, because a lot of things have come to surface only in the last month.
Yeah.
And what's the name of that syndrome where the parent thinks their kids are sick? It's it's an actual syndrome.
Yeah. Stockholm syndrome.
No, not Stockholm. No, it's got a weird name, but where it's basically the parents are convinced their children are ill. And there was a documentary about a famous case in America where this mum, she convinced everyone and her child that they had cancer. They had
yikes.
It was horrendous. And this poor child wasn't sick at all, but was being pumped full of these drugs because the mother wanted the attention of having a sick child. And then turned out that actually she was
a massive narcissist.
The mother was insane, and the child was actually fine because she ended up killing her mother. And then was like, I'm actually fine. My mum is a con artist.
Could a sick child do this?
Yeah.
Full strength, baby!
I need a wheelchair? Are you kidding? You need a coffin.
Yeah.
So she's very good at convincing. She's like, do this. And to be fair, I mean, I probably wasn't a healthy child.
Yeah, but that's probably from malnutrition.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably from abuse.
Yeah.
And she's just so clever at hiding it. I've got 30% hearing in my left ear, and that's because when I was 4 years old, I got an ear infection, and my eardrum burst. But I didn't get taken to the doctor for 4 or 5 days, and so it was getting worse and worse, and I ended up getting delirious and passing out from the pain at 4 years old.
Yeah, something that extremely.
Yeah, I still, all I remember from that is the pain and a flash image of having a pillow on my ear and lying down in my granddad's car, because finally my dad and my granddad took me to the hospital.
Yikes.
And because I was screaming, and mum's like, you're fine. And I, every day, oh mate, it's horrific. And then got there and they saw me and they were like they thought I had meningitis. It was that bad. And then they realized, and now I'm deaf.
Yeah.
Deaf AF, and it really fucking sucks.
Man.
The biggest one for me is I've just been diagnosed with scoliosis.
Right.
And when I told my dad on the phone last week, he went silent and white, and he looked down that camera and he was like, yeah. And I stood up and I lost my shit. I went, are you fucking kidding me? I said, you knew? I went, you guys knew? And I never got told or had treatment? I'm in agony a lot of my fucking life. What do you fucking mean you knew? And it was because you don't. What? Yeah. I'm still pff.
Yeah.
It's fucked.
And what's the extent of your scoliosis? That's the spinal misalignment, isn't it?
Yeah. So and it's I've always had a bump here. I've always been in pain. My shoulders are it's ridiculous. I limp a lot, and this hip hurts because it's all the way down.
Yeah, I've got a bit of lumbar lordosis. I think I've got a little bit of. I've got something.
Yeah,
but it's not bad.
Yeah, it's mild. It's not I'm not. I don't have a huge hump or anything, but it is mild. But it was still. They still knew.
Yeah, that's rough.
And I'm like, what do you mean? Oh yeah. That one, that's the fresh one.
Yeah.
I'm still finding out.
Wouldn't your dad be like, now, hey, we're both out. Let me just fucking give you the whole thing by now, right?
You'd think. Yes and no, but he had to do his own unpacking. He had to do his own healing. Yeah, and he has now. That's why we're building back our relationship, and which I'm very grateful for because I'm very, very grateful for that man. Like, he's the best. But when it was very fresh, none of us could talk to each other, like, as a family.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know how and we didn't know who each other was. Like, my family don't really know me at all. Like, we haven't lived in the same country for 15 years.
Yeah.
Like, give or take. Like, yeah, I don't know them.
Would you go back, would going back to the UK or going back to your hometown be triggering?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not my home.
Sure.
It's not. I my dad's getting married next year and I'm going to have to go back. It'll be the first time in 5 years.
Yeah.
And like, I'll go back for him, obviously. Like, and I go back, like, England's a beautiful country. Like, I've traveled all around England, Europe multiple times. But if I'm there too long, absolutely not.
You feel that eye.
Yeah, literally, it's under his eye.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it is. And I can't walk down the high street without seeing someone or bumping into someone or sensing someone. Just, hate it. Hate it.
So, okay, so let's talk about, if it's not home, let's talk about escaping it. So that's where we got to the point we got to last year.
Yeah.
How do you get excommunicated, disenfranchised, whatever it is?
Disfellowshipped.
Sure.
Yeah.
Talk me through that.
So there's disfellowshipping, disassociating, and then basically being an apostate. So disfellowshipping is you're done. You're cut off. Yep. Completely ostracized. You're dead. Everyone gets told to treat you like you're dead, all like that. And that needs...
So what, and they see it, they'll be like, a ghost? Or do they... like, what do you mean by that?
All I think of now is splotch of marinara.
Yikes. That
needs to be put in context.
That's a dark
not today.
Let's push on. Fuck.
Anyway, literally part 3. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh god, it's gonna be its own series. Yes. So, like, I think we touched on last time the whole there has to be 2 witnesses to have a tribunion to then basically be told that this happened and blah, blah, blah. So that's when disfellowship is when you're essentially kicked out. Disassociated is when you kick yourself out.
Right.
And then an apostate is basically someone that has left but is completely turned against it. And it is the worst. And you are taught from day dot that you are to fear these people. They are the worst of the worst. Yeah. I'm technically an apostate.
Yeah, so apostasy exists in other religions as well.
Yeah.
It exists in Islam, which is my background and things like that. So I totally get it.
Yeah.
It's like,
big time apostate.
Mm.
You're bad mouthing it. I'm sat here talking to you right now.
Yeah.
I couldn't do this a year ago.
Right.
Because I was too scared. I've still, even part 1 that's posted on my Instagram, I've had to restrict certain people who follow me because I'm so scared they'll see that.
Oh, that's good to know now. After we posted it, remind me to remove the EXIF data from this podcast. Fuck.
Oh, no, it's 1 person.
Jesus Christ, I'm going to have to fucking cancel my career from now on. I cannot handle a door knock at all. I'm
sorry.
Yeah, I've got a parcel locker in distance. Fuck me.
No, that's just my own issue. I mean, I shouldn't care, but I'm getting to the point where I don't care, enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, but me, even though I would be I'm definitely an apostate because fuck them, excuse me, it's really funny. So I did it in a sneaky way. So I think I'd said last time that I'd moved from Canterbury to Sittingbourne and the whole cards that got moved over. And so I was technically registered at the Sittingbourne congregation.
Yeah.
So the elders that are in Canterbury wouldn't be able to do a discipline hearing with me, even if they knew I'd done something, because my elders were now the ones in Sittingbourne. But I was very new. I was young. It was very much, who's this young girl that's turned up? People kind of knew of me, but it wasn't. That wasn't my original congregation. So it was very like, oh, who's this chick?
Yep.
I made a couple friends and I got kind of there. I was there for probably just under a year. But it was still, I very much just kept to myself, didn't really get involved a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't really know who I was.
And this is like, what, 14, 15?
No, I was 17. This is literally just before everything kicked off.
Right.
I would have been 17. So I was there, by myself, doing that, which was already, what the hell? But our family was almost not famous, but people knew of the Twyman family in different congregations. It's so weird. Like you have that weird hierarchy fame thing, and you'll be like, "Oh, the Twyman family, yeah, I know them." Yeah. And you could be 4 hours away in a different circuit. Yeah, it's everybody knows everyone.
Still getting more massive Handmaid's Tale vibes.
Yeah.
The commanders and all that
the commanders. Yeah. Or the elders. So there would be like a district assembly, a circuit assembly, and like then there's like circuits within districts. And so I was in the Kent district, which is the southeast district, which is south of the UK. Yeah. And then I was in the Kent circuit. And then there was Kent Circuit 1, Kent Circuit 2. So they worked out all the different congregations where they were like
territories.
Territories. Yeah. And we had territory cards that would be given out to ministerial servants, which is stepped down from an elder. And then they would run the ministry meetings, which was when we would then go on knocking on the doors. But we can talk about that in a second. I'll finish. Sure. Yeah. It's like a spider's web, I call this. Like whenever I talk about it, I don't know how to stay on one path because I say the word elder and then that goes to there and everything is so interlinked.
Like there's so much
so much to it. So what I'm really struggling with, I'm at that point in the book where I'm like, right, how do I tie everything together? Because every word, like an elder, a ministerial servant, a kingdom hall, ministry, the theocratic ministry school, those words are words I just know what they mean. But you're not going to know what the fuck I've just said.
It's honestly like some Star Wars universe or some shit. Like it's its own weird little universe.
It is.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I've done the sneaky where I'm kind of in this position where I'm not untouchable, but people don't really want to touch me because they know who I am.
Yeah.
And the elders in Canterbury can't. And the elders in Sittingbourne don't really know how to go about it. And then, so I was there probably just under a year. And then, which we did touch on in the part one, that was when I saw my brother in the high street.
Yeah.
And we met and it was on a Thursday, which was a meeting night. And I didn't go because he was like, come with me, come see everyone. And him and Micah and Cameron, like two other lads that I'd grown up with, they all lived together. And I remember I walked in and it was like going home because this was my boys. This was my friends. These were my brothers. And I remember it and I was like, hi, and just was like crying. And Micah's like, oh my God, hi. Like, how you going? And like, they're all there and Micah's got his nose pierced and he's grown a massive beard and he's covered in tattoos and he's got long hair and I'm like, oh wow. And he's smoking and I'm like, oh, this is so new. You're all so rebellious.
So how many of the outcasts are there? There's you, Micah, Cameron.
From Canterbury, me, Micah, Cameron, Tom, my brother. Now obviously my little brother as well. I think
that girl.
Caroline, Caroline, she was in a different congregation.
Right.
She was in Ashford congregation, so that's like 20 minutes away from Canterbury, just a different city.
Yeah.
Or suburb. So it'd be like we would be in the Footscray congregation, but then
yikes.
I would be in the Maribyrnong congregation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she was Ashford, I was Canterbury.
And is there like a support system? Like, is it like the railroad where you're just trying to escape together and, it's like you're all escaping to the same tunnel and shit? How do you find each other?
Well, obviously, honestly, it's been probably through social media because at that time, this is 10, 12 years ago, that was when social media was really becoming
It's like Facebook and MySpace.
Yeah, Facebook. I think Snapchat came out 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's just put 4 grey hairs in my
Yeah,
head.
I hate myself even more.
I don't use it. But I don't
think I've ever downloaded it besides when it came out, and then I was like, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Because I opened it up one morning and it was just dick pic, and I'm like, I don't even know if I like dick, and I'm like young and this is scary, and I thought it was so that you could like send funny filter faces to like your girlfriends.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably funny if it's, the weird kind of dick.
Yeah, it was, to be fair. Oh, that's a funny story. We can do that later. It sounds so weird because I was thinking about this today. Is you just kind of have that vibe of you just know, like you've got that sense of who really does believe it and who really is there and who really isn't. Like I have known Caroline since I was probably, like 12 or 13. And I got told by my mum and dad that I wasn't allowed to be her friend because she was a bad association. Mm-hmm. And that got announced on the platform in different congregations that you shouldn't socialize with Caroline Adams because she's a bad influence. Yeah. Because Caroline, even though she was raised within the cult with me as well, but she was like her mum was a single mum, which is already you're like downgraded. She's the lowest of the low. Single mom. They weren't the strongest in the truth. Mm-hmm. So Caroline was a lot more looser. Caroline went to school. Caroline went to college. Like Caroline was a lot more influenced by the world.
Yeah.
Basically, Caroline was a lot more normal, shall we say.
Yeah.
And so she, I remember when she first wore makeup to an assembly and I was like, oh my God. Uh-oh. And I'm like 14.
Yeah.
You think of the 14-year-olds nowadays? Like they look like they're my age. I mean, I still look 14. Yeah. And so I was like, oh my God. And mum was like, don't you ever think about getting any ideas? And I'm just like, okay, like you need to stay away from that girl. And so
I'm starting to talk because like my only reference point with Jehovah's Witnesses is I told you about this guy after our last one. I had a friend called Daniel Batista and he was a Jehovah. And a door knocker.
Jehovah.
He's not Indian. He's Italian, actually. Oh, but like he lived in a nice house in a nice part of where I was raised. And him and his brother played music and they were fantastic musicians. And like they seemed pretty normal except for the fact that they were Jehovah's and they had to go door knocking on weekends. So like
was this in Australia?
Yeah. Yeah. So but like, eastern suburbs. So I'm like, there was like that, and I was like, oh, they're kind of weird. So this massive scale of this fucking weird Kingdom Hall and all this sort of shit. Like, are they outcasts just because they live relatively normal lives and they went to public high schools and all they had to do was door knock versus your fucking Handmaid's Tale version of it? Fucked up Handmaid's Tale.
I know.
It's been a long day.
Handmaid's Tale. Yeah. There was definitely like levels and hierarchy for sure. Because so my childhood best friend, Rosanna, who I grew up with, our two families were like family friends. Her dad was an accountant, very rich. They lived in a big barn conversion. They all went to school. But as I'm explaining this to you, it's explaining it in my head because of how wrong and fucked up and culty it is, because clearly now I can see, as I explain it to you, I'm like, well, of course they were regarded as high ranking because they were rich and they could put more money into the religion, into the cult. But back then, like I wouldn't have known that would be the reason. So it was like, well, yeah, of course they were like high regarded.
Yeah, it's like Animal Farm.
Yeah, literally. And so it's kind of like, whereas obviously my family couldn't do that. We were very, very like, well, I couldn't tell you because Dad was like, I had money. I just, we weren't allowed to be showy. I was like, now you tell me. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, that's all I do. Because I remember it was 2006, we got a brand new Honda CR-V after having a VW Polo for a family of 5.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, that was fun. And and we got a brand new Honda CR-V, and I remember like Dad got basically questioned by the elders of how he got that.
Right.
Because it was being flashy. But yeah, this is where the hypocrisy comes into it, right? Yeah. The Mansa family, so Rosanna's family, you know, the big rich lawyer accountant.
Yeah.
They had, I think, 4 cars. So the mum and the dad each had a car. So they had a big people carrier, a normal sized, like just sedan, and then they had a Mazda soft top convertible 2-seater.
CX-5 probably.
Yes, CX-5, that's the one.
MX-5 was the classic soft top.
MX, because CX is the people carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a very necessary detail.
Yes, you're all welcome.
Yeah.
I love cars. I really do. Yeah.
So, hypocrisy in the ranks.
Yeah, it's just mad. Like, that's so interesting you say, because I'd never even thought, but yeah, like, and and again, as bad as it is to say, and I hate the fact that my answer basically to your question of why their experience is different is I mean, I don't know how in it they were.
They're committing to the door knocking. We could rehearse on weekends because like we were in a band together. We couldn't rehearse on weekends. And a lot of times I was like, I got to go do the door knocking.
Yeah.
And that's about as much as I knew.
They're boys.
Yeah.
It's literally, as bad as it is, and it's almost like a cop-out answer, they're boys.
It's not a cop-out. That's the reality. I mean,
yeah, that is the reality. You said there were 2 boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and their parents were probably just a little bit more lenient, maybe.
Did they have a sister? I think they had a sister, but I didn't really see her much.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
That's what I mean.
But I saw the mum from time to time. But
that's different. She's a mother.
Yeah, right.
It's like Handmaid's Tale. The wives were allowed to, you know, go that little bit further in the districts.
Yeah.
So the wives are, but the girl, Oh, my brothers could do anything.
Okay.
My older brother went to school. Like, he went to school. He went to a grammar school. Like, he was clever. He didn't go to university because no one does, because that's very much frowned upon.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's higher education.
Yeah.
So you don't. The fact that I went to college was, when people found out that I went to college, it was like, oh, well, you must be doing a vocational course then, because you must be doing a skill. Oh, you must be doing childcare, because every fucking girl in the religion is a nanny, and every boy in the religion is a fucking window cleaner.
Window cleaner? Oh,
yeah. So many. Wow. So many. I remember when Instagram started up and all the freaking like follow requests of like, Tim and Tom Henderson's window cleaning service want to follow you. And then it was like, Luke Austin window cleaning service wants to follow you. And it was just like all the fucking lads from all over the circuit that started their window cleaning service.
So they can do the witnessing better. So, you know.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah. That's funny. The funniest thing, right? Get this. My nan loves this. So she had a witness as her window cleaners. My nan's never been one. Hates it. Wants it to die in hell. My Betina, where I got my name from. But her window cleaner, Pete Murphy, has been her window cleaner for years, and he was in the religion. He was in our congregation, Pete and Jess. But they were just like that cool couple, and they got married super, super young, but they actually worked, and you could tell they loved each other. They didn't have kids for like 12 years. And
was that frowned upon? Was it constant pressure?
Yeah, there was constant pressure.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. 100%. She was like a little dental assistant and he was a window cleaner. They were living this simple life. And he has cleaned Nan's windows literally, I think, since I was probably, like 11 or 12. Yeah, but a couple of months ago, I got a friend request on Facebook. Jess Murphy wants to be your friend. And I'm like, what? And turns out that Jess and Pete, they did have kids like 10 years ago. They've got 2 boys now. They've left.
Ooh.
And all over her Facebook is like, it's a cult, like blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And I was like, yes.
One of us.
I was like, fuck yeah. And then I said it to my dad, and then my dad's just like, oh yeah, Nan thinks it's it's her doing. Nan's like, yeah, I turned pink to the other side. Just that tiny little, like for 15 years, like, want a cup of tea, Peter? And he's finally seen the light, and like apparently, yeah, my Nan's just like, I converted him out of it.
It's just a bit of Earl Grey. That's all it needed.
The converted became the convertee. I was like, that's so good. And I can just picture her because every time I'd come and she'd just be like, oh, my love.
Yeah.
And she's just the funniest thing. So yeah, they're out. And I was like, fuck yeah. Lots, like because you become in such an isolated bubble when you do leave. I was lucky enough to have my brother and Micah and Cameron. Because it's so isolating. You just have to start again because you lose everything, like we were saying. I was lucky that I had them. I have a very interesting relationship with my brother, so it was very controlled, shall we say. It still wasn't me being me. Like, for example, my 18th birthday was me and I think 9 boys.
Yeah.
Like, fine, love lads. I get on so well with lads. Always have, always will. Very much a boy, very much a bloke.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've always been in that world and environment. I had a great 18th birthday, but it's just funny to it was very much orchestrated. And the first few years I was out was very much orchestrated by my brother.
Was he just being protective?
No, he's a very, very controlling, very, very controlling, very, very manipulative, has a lot of traits like a mother. But I don't believe that he is a narcissist. I think he is a product of being abused by a narcissist.
Yeah. Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah. And he has a lot of issues he needs to deal with, and he won't.
Sure.
And that breaks my heart because, yeah, he really, really does. But yeah,
that's most families, let's be honest.
Yeah, it is. But I think, but if you do leave, it's the most isolating thing. So like yes, I was lucky that I had that, but that might have been a bit detrimental at the time or looking back. But then within, I think, a couple of years, a year and a half, I met my he's my ex-boyfriend now, but I mean, we're still friends. I met my ex-boyfriend and we fucked off to the other side of the world and just made a brand new life. But again, and this is something that I really want to voice and have open because I never ever have, but that didn't come without its issues and its problems, because the biggest thing for me is I had no idea who the fuck I was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the most mind-fucking thing to experience. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I was so naive and I was so confused and scared, and I had all these kind of like determined things that I thought would be like, and then it kept contradicting itself, and I realized that actually it wasn't as scary as it was being made out to be. And I was like going through college in like that world, and it was just the most overwhelming experience, and I didn't know how to function, and I didn't know how to process it. And so the only way that I knew to almost keep myself safe was to just make up a life that wasn't that one.
Yeah.
So I started making things up, and it was safe that way, and it was like a protection because I didn't want to expose where I'd come from because I didn't know how to. But I didn't have a personality. I didn't have stories.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have, oh my God, I remember watching The Simpsons on Channel 4 on a Friday night. And I'm like,
yeah.
No. Remember going to dance class? Remember doing that? And I'm like, no, I don't have any of this. And so I just started making stuff up. And because I've got a very, very creative mind and I'm very good at writing, and I've always written my whole life. I've wrote stories my whole life. I wrote a different life down on a page when, I'm going through freaking hell. So I just started saying that out loud. The things that I'd written that I wished my life was, I started saying that it was my life. And I'm just lying, and it's like, but in my mind, I'm not lying. I don't even know. I don't even know what it is, but it's because it's almost like I'm empty. There wasn't anything. I didn't have anything to say besides, oh, right. It's almost like AI or an alien coming down and just plugging in a chip of like generic white girl. Do you know what I mean? And it was like I'd done that because I didn't almost have a personality or memories. And I remember saying one thing and someone being like, what? Like, and it kind of, everyone was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, that was it. I was in catering college and I was like one of the only people that could peel a carrot. And my tutor was like, how come you can do that? And I was like, oh, like I cook the dinners for like, 15 people. And everyone was like, what? And I was like, oh, that was like, because every time I showed who I really was, it would be like, who's this bitch?
Yeah.
So I would be like, oh yeah, no, I've danced. And oh yeah, no, I've done that. And here's a story and here's a story because what else was you going to do?
Sure.
Fucked up, terrible, like awful, hurt some people I didn't want to hurt. And
just from lying about who you were?
Yeah.
Right.
Got a reputation got a reputation when things came out. Oh, Fia's a liar. And it's like, well, yes, but it's so much more than that. And I carry a guilt with me from that. I mean, this is 10 years ago. And I carry a guilt with me from that. And I've said this to different therapists along the way, and they're like, well, you shouldn't, blah, blah, blah. Like it can't be classed as, because I'll be like, oh my God, I'm a pathological liar. I'm a narcissist. I'm manipulative. I'm a psycho, blah, blah, blah. And I would say this to my therapist. I'm like, well, I'm obviously that because I did that. And they're like, well, the fact that you're aware of it means that you're not. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, cool, Few. But are you sure? What if I'm just really clever and I'm manipulating you to say that I'm not manipulating?
Yeah.
Because I'm so paranoid about being that because that's my mum.
Yep.
And she lied my whole life and so many people in my family. And then when I came out and I'm like, I don't know what to do, but it was never a hurtful thing. It was never in a hurtful way. It was stories. Mm-hmm. So age, height, favorite number, favorite food, that was all real. My name, that was all real.
Yeah.
And it would just be stories of like, oh yeah, this happened. Didn't happen. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to tell them what actually happened. These kids don't want to know.
Yeah, I mean, they're in their fucking late
we're like
teens.
18, like 18, 19 years old.
They just want to fucking get fingered and all that sort of shit.
That's what I mean. So when I'm sat there in a festival, like, oh my God, yeah, I did acid and was like climbed a tree and I thought I saw a purple dragon. Yeah. Like that sort of shit, you know? Yeah. Because it's like I want to fit in, I want to seem cool because I don't know how to do that. And like I look back now and I'm like, I should have just gone straight to fucking therapy. But you don't know to do that,
and therapy's not cool, what was that, 10 years ago? Like,
it was like 2011?
Yeah. Therapy wasn't cool then.
No, not at all.
Not amongst the kids.
And you kind of didn't really know about it.
No.
It wasn't something that you did. It wasn't a very generic, like, well-known thing.
It wasn't very welcomed either.
It was very taboo. It was like, oh, you're seeing a therapist. You're going to a psychiatrist.
I went to a psychologist once when I was like 22. And that was just because I had, some really, some deep anxiety, but I just went once because I did feel like something had been really wrong for me to get to that point. And now I'm just like, bro, this is the gym of the mind. Fucking sweat it out. But that's just the difference, in the perspective and the acceptance of it, which is testament to where we've come, really, about accepting it and making it part of the standard because you're starting to realize, holy shit, we are more mentally fucked up than we are physically, and it's a manifestation of the physical is our mental problems.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And it's interesting because it's like, everything kind of came to a head like it would do. And I remember the day that it did, because a life that I'd kind of built that wasn't true, but then it got exhausting because then I'm like, I'm becoming more of who I am and I'm understanding who I am and I'm being more who I am and I'm being true to myself. That was the biggest thing, is I always say, like, I wasn't being true to me, so how could I be true to other people? Because I didn't know how to be, because I'd never almost been taught, because I hadn't had my personality nurtured.
Yeah.
I didn't, and this isn't me making an excuse,
No,
absolutely not. It's just that being like looking at it black and white and logical, and how I've had it like explained to me is I didn't actually have the tools to go out into the big wide world and understand what was going on, because it hadn't been.
Who does at that age? When you're looking back now, because I mean, all right, so
it's like, but it was like releasing a 13-year-old into a gaggle of 19-year-olds.
Honestly,
10 years ago,
it would have been something now. I think there's going to be a level of emotion with challenging emotional maturity and the self-reliance of this generation. These fucking Zetters.
Fucking Gen Z cunt.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's on your earrings, so you might as well fucking let
These
it out.
are the best earrings.
They're great.
Thank you so much. I wore them especially.
Oh, thank you.
For a
For me?
podcast. For a thing that people listen to. I'm just trying to do something like every time, so you have to go watch the YouTube
Well, that's
video.
what I need, really.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But so, like, there's this crescendo of you discovering yourself, and we'll get to that. But like, to the point before is like, you know, you look at it now. You've certainly, I wouldn't say overcompensated, but you've certainly you've really certainly defined who you are, and that's part of your process now. And you know, I can tell you the same. You look around, there are plenty of people who have not defined themselves even at this age.
Yeah.
Right? I remember being like 20 and being like, oh, 30-year-olds are fucking crazy. They know. They got all this shit together. And I look around at some of my people, I'm like, fools.
Remember when you're like, I'm going to be married, my own house, 2 kids.
Yeah.
By the time I'm 28.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got $4 in my bank account and I had pasta every day this week.
I don't know the latter, but still. Yeah, but it's not, you realize it's not really a big deal. And in reality, just by the practice of authenticity, you are much further ahead in that growth process than a lot of people currently are, right? Yeah. So talk to me about that, right? So you've come as plain Jane, no piercings, no tattoos. I look at you now and you're an acid trip in my face.
You're welcome.
In a good way, very good way.
Tell me I'm pretty.
You're pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Daddy.
Stop it.
Sorry.
Anyway, so where does the bloom happen? Where does is there an accelerated period of who you are? Talk me through that.
Again, we have to start dark, because you have to go down to go up.
Yep. 100%.
And it's so weird. I literally feel like this is therapy with you, and I love it. And
basically is.
Yeah, it really is. That's why I'm like, no, fuck yeah, let's do it. I don't care what fucking time of the day. But so I met my ex-boyfriend, like a year and a half, 2 years since leaving.
Yeah. And
we traveled the world together. We were together for nearly 5 years, I think. We met in 2013 and we broke up very end 2017, 2018. And we skied. We were skiers. We were ski coaches, and we went everywhere you could think of that you could ski, apart from Australia, because you guys have shit snow. Anyway.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I don't care.
I know, I can literally see it in your face. But yeah, I'm this brand new person. I'm this one that doesn't know who they are, and I'm very, very confused and lost. And Again, it's so fucking confusing, because it's like I never lied about the big shit. It was just initially, because I never thought it was going to go anywhere, when some guy walks into a bar that you're working at and goes, what's a pretty thing like you doing behind this bar? And I turned around and went, saving money to get away from cunts like you. And then
I find that appealing personally, though. So.
Well, yeah, like shit. You know, I didn't know that at 19 years old. I just knew I just found out what the word cunt meant. And I'm like, you're a cunt. Woo! This is my new favorite thing. It sounds like cult.
thought you were going to say a couple of years later, find out I'm bisexual. Do really love cunt.
Oh, I mean, I already knew that. Yeah, and so I'm like, oh God, fuck off. So like when I'm like in the smokers area chatting with him, like I'm doing, because it became very autonomous to say the same thing. So it wasn't like a massive bundle of lies. It was like the same one a lot.
Yeah.
And this is why I remember talking to my therapist. It was like, it was just your go-to, like your safety. It was like your persona. It was your safe. It was your worldly persona. Because I had Jehovah's Witness Fia, and then worldly Fia was who I created.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that was who Ben first saw. And then he never fucking left. And then all of a sudden, we're in love. And then all of a sudden, we're living in Canada. And then all of a sudden, we're living in New Zealand. And I'm there 2 years later, like, fuck, I love this kid. He's my best friend. I'm living my best life. He is helping me in a way that he doesn't even know, because he wasn't a massive talker.
Yeah.
But we were just living our life. We were living, we were exploring, we were traveling, we were skiing. It was so much fun. But in the back of my mind, it's like, fuck, but he thinks this and he thinks that. And I don't know how to tell him that that's not true, because I'm almost too deep in it now.
Yeah.
But I wasn't continuing to lie, if that makes sense. Like nothing else. It was just those
at
the beginning. Yeah. At the beginning, and now everything moving forward, it was all completely who I was becoming. Because he was really like encouraging, so I would like play my guitar, and he'd be like, "Fuck yeah, you sound great. You should do that." So I started gigging in the snow scene.
Great.
And and I would tell jokes, and he'd be like, "That was really funny." And we would talk a bit, but we were so young. And it's like I slowly started kind of like, oh, right, okay. And like that's when the lying stopped. And it's just like I kind of was discovering me. And we had a big old heart-to-heart about like the religion and stuff. But like, God love him. He's not very intelligent at all. He'll be the first one to tell you that. Right. He's not. But fuck, he can ski. He's very good. It's like everything went to that.
Yeah.
But he can't even spell his own name properly. he added an extra N. I'm like, Ben, your name is Ben? Not B-E-N. He's like, no, B-E-N-N. I'm like, Ben. Bless his soul. But yeah, we had this big heart, and I was like, no, I'm going to not be afraid. And I started just telling more and more people about, I was raised in a cult. Just that sentence. I was like, if I meet people, I'm chatting, or I'm, a few meetings in to a new friendship, I will say that and see their reaction. And it was interesting, but it was, unfortunately, as I'm growing and discovering, that means Ben and I are moving in different directions, but then I've still got that guilt of the first, 6 months of our relationship. And then we went through some pretty hectic things. Like we lost a baby together, which is super, super sad and very, very difficult. And that was almost like a setback. So I was like discovering who I was and loving my life. And then that happened, and it was like this massive mental setback. But ironically, it almost like needed to happen, because then, try to not live part 2 again. And that's when it's like, okay, you need serious help. Yeah. Fia, you need to get some help. And again, you got to crash to get back up.
Yep.
So yeah, didn't want to live again, tried to kill myself again, and ended up back in the psych ward. And it was at that, and I was 24. It all rolls into one. 24, I think. Yes, 24 years old. 23, 24. And I was just so tired of having to remember what I'd said. And I'm like, it was like I had been created inside now. But the original Fia, like the original new Fia from when she first left, was kind of stopping the new Fia of coming out.
It's like an ingrown exoskeleton.
Yeah, it was so weird. Like that's a really good way to describe it. It was odd.
Yeah.
That was really great. Well done. You're really smart.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's hot. What? Anyway, that was weird. Yeah, and it just, everything kind of came out, and it was when I would say this and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I got the help, I suppose, that I needed at that point. And I ended up going back to the UK after Ben and I went our separate ways. Because it all came out with him, and God bless him, he was like, I'm not mad, I'm not angry. He's like, I'm just sad because I feel like I don't know you. And I was like, well, you do, because the person that's been with you for the last 4 years is who I am, because you helped grow her. Like, I owe that boy a lot. Like, I will love him forever. And he did, whether he knew it or not. And this is why, like, I battled with being like, oh my God, I'm a liar like my mum. And I've had so many people, be them psychiatrists, psychologists, psychs, therapists, whatever you want to say to me, no, you're not. Like, my brother would be like, you're a pathological liar and you're a psychopath. You should get put down.
Put down? Yikes.
And I'm like, all right, cool. So because I was almost so ingrained to think that was who I was, that was who I believed I was. And it's so funny now because it's such a bad thing in the witnesses to be a liar, because Satan is a liar, the demons are liars. You know, you're doomed to destruction. So when I'm being told by like my brother or my mum, I'm like, oh my God, I'm the worst person. Because even like, slight digression, but even as a child, like when I would try and speak up about things that were happening to me, I got told to be quiet and to stop lying. And I'm like, right, okay. So it was almost like I was conditioned to believe that I was a liar. And now it's so funny because they are so hung up on that, like my brother and my mum, that I'm this person. They've got no idea of the person that I am now. Like it is like humanly impossible for me to withhold truth. And ironically, it always has been. Because I spoke to my dad about this and he was like, yeah, you're fucking useless at it. He was like, but you can tell a story and that's different. And he went, and in your mind, you weren't lying. You were telling a story. It was escape. It was trying to trap out the trauma. Has a lot of T's. It was never malicious. It was never vindictive. It was never to harm or to hurt. It was to protect. And this isn't making excuses. This is it is what it is. Yep. And it's so, and he was like, you fucking can't do it. I was like, yeah, no. And so as I'm like coming out of this, and then, yeah, it just kind of all kind of happened at once. So like, tried to just not exist, because I was like, that sounds great. Got caught out on that.
You make that sound so casual. Suicide thing. Oh, that got me.
Yeah.
Busted.
Oh, fuck. Like, it was very, not that I condone it, but it was very creative.
Do you want to go into detail?
I mean, very briefly, but I went for a little walk at 2 a.m. in a blizzard in -52 in a t-shirt and no shoes, and I sat in a snowbank and got hypothermia.
Fuck.
Yeah. So
again, because last time you told me about the feet.
Yeah, that was my feet. That was frostbite.
Yeah.
And then I got hypothermia, and I just shut down. And then I got discovered at, I think, like 6-7 o'clock in the morning by a dog walker, and they thought I was a dead body in the bank.
Oh, fuck.
And then they had to basically defrost me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Because I was just, but I remember, I don't really remember, but I was in such a crazy headspace, a terrible headspace. Awful. I was a woman crazed. I remember walking from my apartment to Ben's house that was a good 3-4 Ks away at like midnight in below 50 blizzard snow, and banging on his window, banging on his door and screaming at him, and we got into like a fucking scuffle in his front yard, and I'm like just woman possessed. And I had lost it. And now I look back, I'm like, she was broken, that girl. She was gone. And it was just, yeah. And then after kind of that, it was like I didn't even know where I was going or what I was doing. I just walked, and then that's what happened. Not a lot of people know that this happened. I don't even think my family know. I don't even think my family are aware of how many times I've tried to kill myself.
Yes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, not that they would be bothered or care. They'd just say that I was attention seeking.
Come on.
Yeah. No, but obviously, yeah. I'm joking. I can't even joke. It's fucking ridiculous. Fuck them. Yeah. So then, yeah, went back to UK, and I remember my brother's like, you got to get a job, you got to earn money, you got to do this and blah, blah, blah. And he's trying to do all this and take charge of my life again. And I was just like, you know what? No, I don't want to do this. And I got a nanny job in London working for the Goldsmiths and the Rothschilds.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, now my life is in danger. Now my life is in danger.
You're old, dude. Literally, yeah. I don't even know how I did it, or I had no idea who they were, obviously, because why would I?
Yeah.
Of all people. So I get this nanny job up in London, and then I remember telling my mum, and she's like, do you know who they are? And I'm like, no. And yeah, it was mad. Oh, great time. And I was living in the middle of London, and I was like,
you would have been like prime Mayfair shit, right?
Oh, I was like Primrose Hill, Camden Town, like right in the smack bang middle. Like the house I think I lived in was like 30-40 million pounds.
Fuck.
Yeah.
So you've just gone from sharing a bedroom with your brothers.
Oh, yeah.
To just being like, what is this palace?
I don't understand. Literally. I had my own driver. I was making ridiculous money. I mean, I loved my kids and I did my job. Like, I love kids. Like, it's so much fun. But they went up to their country house Thursday through Sunday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
I lived by myself in a fucking London mansion in the heart of London.
Sick.
It was amazing. And I was single, and I had recently, discovered that I was actually a good person. And I was like, let's go. Yeah. And I went that's when I was like, right, I'm going to go to improv school. I'm going to go to clown school. I'm going to start doing comedy. I'm going to start talking. I'm going to become complete opposite of what I've just done for the last 5 years. And I'm going to become so fucking open and so fucking honest and so fucking real. And if those people don't like that person and they don't like that, well, then I'm fucked. No. But it's like, because I wasn't meeting, being the person from the first 5 years, I wasn't meeting real people. I wasn't really making friends. Yeah. And it was just like, why am I not making friends? Like, what am I doing? Like, yes, I had Ben, but obviously that went on the demise, unfortunately. And then, and it was like this switch. And I remember the first time I walked in to the Shoot from the Hip, course that they did. And oh my God, I've never been so scared in my whole entire life, because it was literally just RADA kids everywhere. RADA is Royal Academy Dramatic Arts, London. Yeah, so it's like the prestigious.
Yep.
And there's all these RADA kids, and a lot of them are international, so all of them are fucking Americans, and they're all musical theatre and artists. And
I thought they would go to Juilliard as opposed to RADA. It's like
there's Juilliard and RADA. It's one's more dancey, one's more acty.
I think Juilliard's acty.
Yeah. And I'm there and I'm like, I've got it somewhere. But these are like pros. They weren't, obviously.
Yeah.
It was fucking scary. But the more I did that and the more...
Are they punsy old money, those RADA kids? Or are they just like genuine talent from the street that's been pulled up?
A couple would have been just money. Honestly... I can't even think of one. Oh, maybe there was like one or two that I didn't really gel with, but there would have been about 30 of us.
Yeah.
And they were all incredible. I'm still friends with a lot of them now.
Yeah, great.
They are the most amazing bunch of people I've ever met. And we had the most incredible, I think it was like a 12-week course.
Yeah.
And it was unreal. And it was almost like I found who I was. And I would because I would say something and people would laugh and I'd be like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, that's just me. And like,
great. That's what you want.
Yeah. And like more and more, and it would be like, you're really funny. And I was like, oh. And this isn't in like an arrogant way, but I was like, oh, interesting. Okay, well, like maybe I should work on that. And then I realized that I could be, you know, the most honest and truthful and real in a funny way. And the first time I did a set, it wasn't even a proper set. I got called up because my friend was hosting a comedy night and he called me up and he's like, you want to come up? And I'm like, fuck you. And then instantly people are like, oh, go on. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, oh yeah, my friend from her ex-cult is here. She's really funny. You should listen to her. Go on, Fia, come up. And I like stand up on the stage, you know, and I'm just like, hi, like, I'm Fia. Yeah, I grew up in a cult. I don't know why that's funny. And I just started talking, and I'd had obviously jokes and things like written, and I started saying a few bits and whatnot. And yeah, it was mad. It was bizarre, and just spoke openly and honestly. And since then, it's just been a journey. And you know, I've still had struggles and my breakdown. The last breakdown I had was in January, and I again wanted to not exist, you know. But I think that will just always be a part of my personality, unfortunately, of my journey, because I can just get very easily overwhelmed. But it was that switch and that flip, because then after London, I went to Iceland. One of my best friends lives there, and we traveled Iceland for a month. And then after that, I went to Europe for 4 or 5 months and traveled that. And then after that, I went back to New Zealand and worked on my friend's farm for a few months. And then I came here, and this is the longest country. This is the longest time I've ever lived in one country or one city. And I'm like, I've been here, 4 years now.
Right.
And I think obviously that's because of COVID, but it's amazing. And I've just kind of gone from this scared, confused, brainwashed, very vulnerable, very easily to manipulate, just fucked up little girl. And I mean, I've been to a lot of countries, I've done a lot of traveling, I've really just kind of dived in completely to being who the fuck is me, who the fuck is Fia. And I remember when Ben and I broke up, I was saying to him, I was like, I want to go to school, I want to go to university, I want to go here, I want to do this, I want to do that. There's so much that I want to do, because I've got to catch up on fucking nearly 20 years of my life. But his last words to me were, Fia, you are a beautiful person and you need to let people see you, because they'll love you. And that stuck with me. And that was the last thing he pretty much said to me until we didn't see each other then for 5 years. And we saw each other 4 days ago for the first time. And it was amazing. And we had the best time ever. But he was right. You know, he was right. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. And that's just what I've been doing. And it's really fun.
Yeah.
And it's super easy.
Good.
Because you don't have to remember anything. Because not remember anything, but like I'm not worried anymore about what people think of me.
That's big.
I think, yeah, I can pretty much say that. I'm not. And I spent a very long time. But yeah, I can pretty much say, do you know what? I really don't care what people think. I know me. I know who I am. I'm very, very happy with who I am and who I've become. I've done a lot of growing. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've been in a lot of shitty situations. I've got a lot of trauma. I've had a lot of bad things happen. But I've fought and fought and fought and fought and fought. And being raised in a cult doesn't define who I am. Being abused in every sense of the word doesn't define who I am. You know, not knowing who I was when I left the cult and, you know, being in that situation, that doesn't define me. Nothing that's physically happened doesn't. I'm the one that's in control of me and my brain, and I quite enjoy her. It's just quite fun. It's just, you know, I will do anything for anyone. I'm never going to judge anyone because I think all of these things that have happened to me, it's made me a good person.
Yeah.
Because I don't want those things to happen to anyone else. You know?
Right. Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah. And not in an arrogant way. Like, I love who I am. I'm great. I'm very proud because I could be dead right now.
Yeah.
Very, very, very easily could be dead.
Mm.
I could still be in a cult. I could still be being abused. I could still be here, still be there. But I'm not. I'm here. I live in one of the greatest countries, if not the current, like, how I feel, besides New Zealand. In an awesome city. I have incredible friends. I'm still ongoing making friends. I'm the things that I love, I make money from. Maybe not a lot, but I still do. Like,
doesn't matter.
And it's just like, if I was to tell Fia from 10 years ago, like, don't worry, it's going to be okay. Like, I'm still fucked. I still take medication every day and I have to have therapy and I will have therapy for the rest of my life. And I have night terrors still because of things that have happened. And I'm still triggered and I still get overwhelmed. I had 3 panic attacks today, walking my puppy. That should be a fun thing to do. And all of a sudden I'm hanging onto a fence because I can't breathe. You know, like I still deal with that, but I'm all right.
You're doing great, Fia. You're doing great.
All that. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm all good.
Yeah, but that's it. That's just the story of resilience in the human spirit. And it does it. It is a great case of whatever doesn't kill you make you stronger. And
if you don't kill you, you make you stronger. That's what I say. That's my take on it. If you don't kill you, you make you stronger. Again, another Kelly Clarkson.
Thanks, Cal.
Thanks, Cal.
Add that to the list of lives you saved. Oh, fuck.
Any questions?
I mean, honestly,
I really went on a tangent and I'm very sorry.
No, that's great. It's great. Honestly, I have nowhere to take that because you've rounded that out so fucking well. Honestly, I'm like, fuck, that was such a great closing statement. It's like, the end of a movie. This is like, Remember the Titans or some shit. I don't know. What's a great... I'm alive!
I'm alive!
Yeah.
I want to go to war!
We just have to stop you from killing yourself.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah. Don't go out there fucking. Yeah. And you know what? If you want to go to Ukraine, go to Ukraine. Start some shit.
I saw a Ukrainian man yesterday. He sold me some skis.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was batshit. He was fab. Because he's just so happy he's not there.
Yeah, he's like, what do you want?
He's like, I am lucky. I'm like, yes, you are.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I just think, like, I don't know if, what people will take away from this or if anyone's going to listen to the end. But if you do, like, the big things I've learned for myself, and this has been for myself, this hasn't been because a therapist has told me or because, I fucking read it on a t-shirt. It's, you don't have to be ashamed of the journey you took to get to where you are. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I have struggled so much with guilt and shame and I think my second time I had a breakdown, I was shaking and rocking in the middle of the room, just over and over and over being like, I'm the worst. And then I got taken to the hospital and I'm pacing there going, but you don't understand. I'm an awful person. I'm terrible. And it's so interesting now. Like I come out of that and I look back and how I've processed that. That's just a trauma response. That's just like a trigger response. That's because I got told that as a child. I'm not that at all.
No.
Like
the ego flaring up.
Yeah, it's crazy and it's so interesting and it's just just don't like carry some stuff with you, carry your lessons, carry that, like don't disregard the journey ever, because I think everyone has their crazy tales. Everyone has the journey of how they got from here to there and who they are now, because we're always learning and changing and growing and adapting. And it's like, but don't be ashamed and don't be scared. And I think the more real you can be as a person, the better. And that's what you want at the end of the day. That's what we fundamentally want, because you're going to attract those people that are going to take that and get that and understand that. And even if they don't understand it, but they get it, that's great.
Yeah.
Because fuck, life's short. Fuck, I don't want to spend it anymore with shitty people that don't care. Be them people that I share blood with, be them not. Like I think like I said before, like my family don't have a clue who I am. They don't know me at all. And I'm fine with that. I don't give a shit. Like that's their loss, because I'm fucking awesome. But that's because A, they're stuck in the past, and B, they know me from 10 years ago.
Yeah. And if you haven't grown in 10 years, you've done something wrong. And
if you're stuck on who someone was 10 years ago, there's something wrong. So I don't need to be around a person that does that.
There was this thing that, and I do want to wrap this up just because it is a great wrap up, but there's like, I heard this thing, and I could be fucking this up. It's like in parental psychology, a lot of what we do now, particularly in defining our own identities, reparenting ourselves from what we've missed developmentally as a child. And it's like a lot of our parents will treat us at the age and when they had the most control over us. So maybe...
Wow.
Yeah. So when they treat you like that child and don't respect you as the adult, it's almost them clinging to their identity as the parent and reverting to that state of when they had the most control over themselves and over you. Yeah. And I've talked about this so many times in this podcast, and I will continue to do it over and over again. Identity is the highest form of commitment. It goes money, time, energy, identity.
Yeah.
And we will give everything towards our identity.
But your identity's always evolving.
Yes, but if you allow yourself to let it evolve, you've gone through the journey of evolution. And like we talked about before, you look around and you're this colorful character, and sometimes you're this colorful character in a sea of bleak.
Yeah.
And you see the autopilot and you see all that shit. And you go, holy fuck, they say, there was another great graph. It's like this rectangle, right? It's a rectangle, and the line in the middle is like a linear triangle in between. But sometimes the fastest path isn't the most direct path down. It's when you go really deep and develop that momentum to swing yourself back up. And that's where, I find myself, and you find yourself, and a lot of people that I have these conversations with, is that you're absolutely right. You have to go through that dark part, and you have to go into that shadow. There's the dark night of the soul, and there's plenty of other references to that. But you need to, because that's what the growth is, right? Things grow in the dirt. They grow in the shadow. That's how you expand who you are. Yeah. But people don't necessarily understand that. They just, are trapped in that ego, that form of identity, what is secure.
Yeah.
And it's just all in here. It's all in the head. It's all in the mind.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I don't know. I'm not saying that I know the ways of the world. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I am nowhere near perfect at all. But I try to be good. I try to be kind. I try to be non-judgmental. And the key word here is try. Yeah. I'm not saying that I am, because everyone can be caught out by being judgy and
we always are.
Selfish, and we're humans. We all have
it's in our nature.
We're all designed to have all spectrum of feelings and emotions. You can't be like, well, I'm not a selfish person. You might not be. That might not be a prominent quality of yours, but you definitely have it there.
And selfishness or there is a virtue to selfishness.
Yeah.
Right? You can give too much of yourself away, and there's a healthy balance of that.
Yeah.
And so again, selfishness, so much of selfishness is just self-care, but we haven't defined it as that way because we haven't been allowed the space to understand ourselves.
I feel that was a wrong emotion to use.
No, but selfishness is.
But because
I think it's a constant. And when you're talking about narcissism, right? It is that magnetized sense of self and attracting everything to you and who you are. Nothing is wrong with me. It's the outside world, right? That is that selfishness, right? And that is 11 in selfishness.
Oh yeah, stage 4. It's fascinating. I mean, it's so interesting because after all of this, everything, I would love to finally go back to school, like university, and study psychology and really get down and dirty. And like the traditional classic work, people are like, oh, but it's always it's really shitty now and blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't care. A, I love learning. B, I've never had that experience. And C, I just find it so fascinating. And I want to learn. It's a learning experience for me. Like it's so interesting just why people do the things that they do. And I've almost been my own guinea pig when I've gone to therapy, and like I've had therapists be like, you intellectualize a lot, Fia, you pay me. Because I would just sit there and talk myself in a circle and be like, so yeah, isn't that the reason? And they're like, well, I can't say no because you are kind of right, but I should be telling you this. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sorry, you go. And it's like, I get that. And they're like, no. Like because I have this weird ability of like taking Fia and putting her third person and going, right, you're doing this because of this. You're doing that because of this.
I'm a huge social abstractor.
Yeah.
No, pattern noticing whatever it is. Again, I'm fucking running out of brain.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, but social constructs and understanding them come naturally to me. And, even what you're talking about before is like, and I just a tremendous sense of self-awareness. Like, when you're talking about your therapist, like sometimes, honestly, I love my therapist. I love Cecilia. Hello, Cecilia, if
Hi,
you're listening
Cecilia.
or watching.
It's a great name.
Yeah, she's amazing. she would love those earrings, I think. just for the loudness. I don't know about the cunt part, but the loudness, right? The outfit.
Tell us you can borrow them.
Yeah, great.
And to see what I'm wearing, go to youtube.com.
Just the homepage.
Yeah, just that. It'll just be me like, hello.
Yeah. But yeah, sometimes it's just me talking it's just me getting things out and venting it out. And she just sits there and goes, okay. And I go, I'm good. And then I'll just sort it out myself.
Yeah.
And then, she just sits there and I'm like, that's plenty.
But I'm almost so self-aware and so paranoid of being a bad person. I'll sit there and be like, oh my goodness, sorry, I'm doing that. You go, I'm sorry. Am I doing that wrong? Am I being, and she's like, no, you're fine. Like, you're allowed to talk and so, and I'm like, I'm not undermining your job. You do your job because you study. You know more than me. You care. Sorry. No. I'm right back in the middle. 4 brothers and a baby sister.
Yeah, okay.
I'm right in the middle.
Because one of the things that I figured out is I can be very much the same and very accommodating, and for me that was conflict in my family. But only child, highly conflicted family. I had to grow up quickly. I had to be the peacekeeper.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm used to that fucking, is everything good? Is everything all right? Am I doing this okay? And I'm starting to understand that, right?
I took like 4 hours to cook Christmas dinner. And like last Christmas is gone. Put it all out, got everyone fed, and then forgot to feed myself. Yeah. And I was stood there like, has everyone had enough? Is everyone okay? Yeah. You got it.
I did the same thing.
And then I was like 2 hours later, I'm like, why am I starving? Yep. And exhausted.
Do that too. There's a great concept around that.
Even though I was sat at the table with everyone, but I was just like, I was too, are you good? Do you want to drink? Is that enough gravy? Oh no, you're gluten-free. All right, I'll make you gluten-free gravy. It's fine. It's fine. Sit down. And,
Yep. But to put it in a good way, there's a great concept. I forget who wrote this book, but leaders eat last.
Yeah.
And that's how I have, you got to protect.
Oh, put that on a t-shirt. We need to make a slogan t-shirt company.
There's plenty around. Just ask someone else to do it. You don't start a whole new company for this shit. Outsource.
Yeah, but I thought all you need is like a cool, quirky Instagram handle and like one logo, and then you're a company.
I mean, if you want to lose money, sure. Right.
Oh, that was just ripping into like all of the boys that have their window cleaning companies.
Okay.
Which you'll know if you listened the whole way through.
All right, we are getting loopy again.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up. Fia, thank you so much for sharing your story, sharing your honesty.
Always.
I
Love
really
it.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Great conversation. Where can the people find more of you?
My Instagram, Fia Betina Creative, and TikTok, again, Fia Betina Creative. I'm the only Fia Betina in the world, so just Google that and you'll find all of the different socials. But yeah, it's come talk to me, come hang out, come ask me questions, whatever. I'm very much an open book, very willing to talk about, educate, encourage, help, listen, whatever. Like even from just part 1, I've had a few more ex-witnesses come out of the woodwork and they're like, fuck yeah, talking about it.
Deep shit.
Yeah, literally.
I am gonna get a fucking knock on the door.
I'm dead. Like God hates me. Oh fuck.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. But just
Maybe you can do like Apostates Anonymous or something.
I'm genuinely thinking about it.
Put that on a t-shirt. That's ironic.
That's so good. No, I'm thinking about it, but I'm just working on lots of fun creative things. So come check me out on the socials and that will keep you up to date. But yeah, chat to me.
Sure. I'm sure you'll reach out. Yeah. Guys, you know where to find me. Of course, that's why you're on this fucking podcast. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll put Fia's socials everywhere. Go check her out. She's a lot of fun, clearly. And we will see you next time, Binges. Take care and good evening, good night. It is nighttime. It's fucking deep night. See you later, guys.
Deep night.
Bye.
Bye.